Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome. A happy Sunday. Today we will be looking at media. Just want to be sure. Sorry. Okay, communication in politics, social media. Today we have our guest who is not a strange face to some of us at the Electoral College. We will take his bio briefly. We will just give ourselves a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes to have him come in, and then we will kickstart. We don't want to waste so much time. So I will be your moderator for today. My name is Adeshola, and I'll be back shortly. Let's not forget our ground rules. Come into the room, place your name in the chat box, and the studio political party within the college that you represent. Okay, thank you. Good evening once again. We're back, and I'd like to welcome you all once again. Today we'll be looking communication in politics, and our facilitator is in the room. I'll go through his bio briefly, and then we'll bring him on board. Please note that if you have questions, you can place them in the chat box. Shortly after his presentation, we will take questions via hands raised, and then I'll call you to pick up your questions, and then we can have a conversation with our facilitator after. Thank you. Today, we have a facilitator, Mr. Kevin Akoje, who is a brand engagement consultant, a politician, a public speaker, a security commentator, social analyst, and serial mediapreneur. He ran for a seat in the National Assembly to represent Kogi East Senatorial District in the 2019 elections. He is also the country director for SDG Radio and the founder for Climate Action Nigeria. He is a University of Abuja alumni and the prestigious class of 1996 at the Nigerian Defense Academy, where he trained as a Master in Defense and Strategic Studies. He is an avid martial arts enthusiast, a climate reality leader, and alternative dispute resolution practitioner. He is a member of the Board of Trustees, Electoral College Nigeria. He was born into a family of 4 siblings in total. He is Catholic and he's married with 2 kids. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the virtual lectern, Mr. Kevin Akoje, who will be taking us today on communication in politics, specifically on social media. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. You have the virtual lecture.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if you can see and hear me clearly. Can we do a sound check or a video check?
We can hear you, but I can't see you. Okay, we can see you now.
Okay,
I can
awesome.
see you and I can hear you now. Thank you.
That's perfect. Good evening, everyone, and it's a great Sunday to be with you. A first for me, being that I've never had my classes on a Sunday, but it's good. So welcome, everyone. So we'll be having our class on communication in politics. Basically, I would not want to say only social media because we're hoping to go through the entire activities or concepts of political communications. And so I hope you're all geared in and ready for us to dive into it. I presume we all have the slides, right?
Yes, the
Hello?
slides have.
Okay, the slides have been shared.
Yes.
And as we always want to begin with this class, the first thing we say is the internet never forgets. Why we say the internet never forgets is because our political communications that we'll be having today will be having a crossbreed between, or let's say it's going to be a hybrid, where we'll be talking about activities that will happen online and offline. Online largely drawn from the usage of the internet or the World Wide Web, as it's fondly called. And then the second line is the people never forget. When we refer to the people, remember this is electoral college, and we're having conversations with regards to political literacy, good governance, political participation, political awareness, political activity, and what have you. And so it will be necessary to understand that when we say the people will always remember, is referring to us as individual citizens of Nigeria, us as persons that are connected directly or indirectly with the Federal Republic of Nigeria, persons that are in different political parties, the electoral management body, INEC in our own case, political parties, and what have you. So when we say the people will always remember, we're referring to all of those persons that are related across this particular scheme of persons that I just made reference to. And so, in other words, you all here are also part of the people because you are longing to build yourself and your capacity with regards to political literacy, political awareness, and what have you. We always like to make a theorization of some sorts before we continue the class so that we're all on the same page and nobody's left out of the communication process. So in this class that is, we'll just say it's a communication 101 for all of us, but tended towards politics. And so we'll not be talking so much about how many grammage of paper you're going to do if you want to be a flyer, or what color you use for your political party logo, or if you want to create your own personal campaign, what type of colors you use for your own political party, or how you'll be able to build your manifesto or pledge if you're running for a legislative office. So when you talk about communication, basically what comes to bear in communication, we're talking about a cyclical process whereby information is released at one end and is consumed at the other. And at the other end where the information is consumed, the information process or the communication process does not terminate there. It also goes backwards. So there's like a feedback loop. And that feedback loop is what determines whether that communication is either effective or what we'll say, or non-effective. Let's just use those two adjectives. So it's either your communication is effective or non-effective. And we are looking forward to this class to ensuring that whatever communications that we bring to bear are effective as the case may be, because that is the sole purpose of this class. Remember, we are here to basically arm you with tools so that you can go out there, influence public opinion, influence your peers, influence yourself, and then also make informed decisions as a politically literate person in Nigeria or as part of someone directly related to Nigeria. And so in talking about the communication process, we know we're going to have a source, that is where the information is published from, a medium in which the information is going to reach out to persons. And so we also have the message. The messaging is very important, because if we do not get the messaging right, that feedback loop that we're expecting might not come as we expect. And then lastly, the receiver. And is this receiver now that is going to engage in that content or the messaging that you have shared that will now prompt a feedback loop mechanism or a reply or an engagement with regards to what has been shared out? Also, one part of the conversation that is always forgotten is the aspect of noise. It's always there, it's always right that we bring it to bear, because noise means activities, contacts, relations, or deliberate attempts to miscue information or create a false narrative with regards to information that is shared. And so if I say my name is Kevin, and some people only had Kelvin because they've only met individuals that their names are Kelvin, but what at end is the background. They are both the same name, but one is British, one is American. And so if you do not have that background underpinning of those two names, you might actually get confused. And so that is not what we're hoping to do right now. And so in summary, we'll be building our course in the light of what we call political communication. And so in talking about political communication, it's a subfield of communication, or let's say it's a merger between politics and communication. And it's a subfield that is concerned with how information or the lack of it spreads and influences politics, policymakers, the news, media, election management body, and what have you. And so, being that we have that as a sub-definition of political communication, our primary concern, like I said earlier on, is whoever receives the information, how does this person react to it, the responsiveness, what type of engagement, or what is the feedback that we get. In science, it says an equal and opposite reaction is what you expect. But in our own case now, this is a field of social sciences, so it might not be as straightforward as we expect. And so should I say I'm a Nigerian and the other person say no, but you were born in so and so country, it means you have dual nationality. And then you now get to identify or understand whether this person is actually really Nigerian or what passport the person holds. But like I said, that is not the bone of contention today. What we need to just have at the back of our minds is the conversation about what is the responsiveness level and the engagement level, or the feedback loop of whoever is going to consume the information, and what amount of noise is brought to bear and how it can be managed. I love to always take a cue from Harold Laswell, which is a famous political scientist, when he defined politics as, like we all know, politics is a struggle for power. And that's also part of the things we're trying to understand in the electoral college class here, on how we understand, use, manage, or misuse, or how individuals misuse power. And so he defines politics as he who gets what, when, and how. And so let me draw in from the political process to break down this definition. He who gets what? So assume this is the general election season, and we have individuals running for position, let's say the president. And so he who gets what refers to individuals that are now official party candidates of a party, being filtered out by the party and have been penned down to run for presidency. When is the general election period, and then the particular date in which INEC has slated for the general election to take place. How? By means of individuals going to vote. And not just any individual. It means you have to be 18 years of age, which is the Nigerian constitutional political sovereign age for anyone that is going to vote or be voted for in Nigeria, as the case may be. Amongst other considerations as is brought to bear. So is it whether direct voting, open ballots? So the whole 9 yards, or people voting via emails, mailing your votes down. So depending on basically the political or the democratic civilization or the democratic maturity of that particular area. But like we said, we're just not going to think too much. We're talking about Nigeria here. And so your understanding of he who gets what, when, and how now helps us narrow down to what we'll be defining as our political communication. And so we'll be defining political communication as he who says what, to whom, how is that message said, and to what effect, or what effect does that communication bring forth? So I infer once more. Our definition today for political communication is he who says what, to whom, how, and what effect does that particular communication bring to bear. And so in having these particular ideas of political communication, we'll be looking at individuals and how they respond to subject matter. Are they reactionary? Are they progressive? Are they empathetic? Are they diplomatic with regards to their response to what is being said or the subject matter in question? So having that behind your minds, I just want us to go back now to the concept of mediums. You know, we spoke earlier about the communication cycle being source, medium, channel, the receiver, noise, the feedback loop, as the case may be. So the mediums basically for communications are a broad range, from traditional mediums to electronic mediums to and what have you. And so we know, all of us know, that the conventional one are radio, television, that we all experience. And then when we talk about traditional modes of communication, mediums, we see the whole idea of town criers, individuals moving around sharing pamphlets, or we have storytelling under the moon, storytelling under the mango tree, as the case may be, in different words, basically driving that political communication downwards. Or we have digital mediums. Interestingly, Zoom that we are on now is also a digital medium, thanks to the jet age, where we all have mobile devices. And so once more, I'll say you all are the privileged lots that are here to enjoy this particular conversation, because a whole lot of persons that will want to participate do not have mobile devices, not just mobile devices, do not have access to data, affordable data. Some do not have access to power and what have you. And so these are the whole lot of things that you need to bring to bear if you want to engage in a communication via digital mediums. But luckily for us, we have you all here. And so we'll be discussing social mediums or the usage of the website, as the case may be, with regards to digital media. And then let's say, so someone's asking for my slides. So you already have the slides. I'm going to be using the slides while also adding a whole lot of things to the mix so that we can understand what we are basically discussing, you know? And so let's talk about a politician now. We have a politician. How does a politician communicate? A politician communicates largely through the electoral process. And the electoral process is what I defined earlier, whereby a political party calls for expression of interest for individuals. They all come out, they go through a party primaries. One person becomes the sole flag bearer of that particular party to run for whichever position, be it presidency and the National Assembly, that's Senate, House of Representatives, and the state assembly, and then tinkering it down to local government chairperson, the local government councillors, and what have you. So in all of this, while we are discussing about he who says what, to whom, when, where, and with which medium, we should also have the idea of the concept of strategic communication. And in understanding the concept of strategic communications, we'll be delving into a little bit of how do you speak? When do you actually talk? Who exactly are you talking to? And what mannerisms or what mediums are you even using to have those conversations? And then the great importance of controlling the narrative, because it is very important that should a communication be out there, it should not be ambiguous, it should not be superfluous, but should be enough for individuals to understand what exactly is being published or being shared, as the case may be. So we've talked about digital mediums and we talked about social media. Why we always like to have the concept of social media in place, because whether we take it or not, a whole lot of persons have access to mobile devices, like I explained earlier, and can indeed consume information being shared on information superhighway, which is the internet. And so we have luckily downloaded on most of our mobile devices a few major political social media platforms, let's say Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. You have a Google browser, and then should you use your device a lot more active, you might have other social mediums on your device, because we know that there are a multiplicity of social mediums that are being exploited and used right now, basically, because we have different types of content that individuals want to share, whether it's text, whether it's picture, whether it's video, whether it's animation, or are you trying to showcase your personality, or you want to showcase your party profile, and so you have a political party website, or you as an individual are trying to run for office, you have your own particular campaign website, or is it you as an individual trying to sell yourself as a brand, and so you have your own website or your social media pages where you basically curate content for individuals to see. And then now that is so exciting that you see people just outrightly write, I'm a content creator on their profile. And so you see the communication process is largely expressed and also simplified for all of us to be able to engage with each other in whatever means we want. And so with regards to types of social media, we'll just be limiting ourselves to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, because we're talking about content that can be shared on these platforms. So while I've made mention of these particular platforms, we know that they are largely for different services: networking, blogging, video sharing, photo sharing. So you need to have all of these ideas with regards to the concept of social media or whatever social media you'll be exploiting. So while we're talking about social mediums now, we know that all these platforms have their own local governance models or local control measures being used with regards to the usage of services. So take, for instance, YouTube. Should you go and do a documentary about your activity as a political office holder, or as an individual trying to run for office, or as an individual building your brand, and you go and put the music on that you don't have rights to it, the first thing that YouTube does is that they'll take down the audio. And should you repeat it consequently, they'll take down your page. And that's why you see when some influencers say, I lost my old account, it's because they forget the basic governance models or operandi with regards to using these particular mediums. So you need to arm yourself with those tools before you engage the services, or you engage in the beauty of using or consuming any of these services. Luckily for us in Nigeria, we do not need to pay to use all of these services. The only payment is your time, energy, and your data, and your power, obviously, to your mobile devices or whatever you're using to access the services. So in that understanding, that is what is going to color how you use all of these mediums. Please remember, it is very key to understand which particular medium you're using, because it also helps the type of messaging you want to express. And also, should you want to cross-share this information across patterns? I love to use Instagram and Twitter as an example. Instagram, you can share both videos, pictures, animation, and text, basically in the bottom of your picture. And then should you want to cross-share to Twitter, what it does to Twitter basically is that it dumps the link of that Instagram post on Twitter. But now the first thing you should ask yourself, I am using Twitter now, I'm trying to consume Twitter and doing a whole lot of things on Twitter. And then you put an Instagram link for me so that I'll click and go to Instagram. Did I tell you it's Instagram I want to watch at this particular 5 minutes and I'm pressing my mobile devices? Me that I don't want to show that I'm active on Instagram for the next 5 minutes for whatever reason. You are now dropping a link. And so you see, should you have done the cross post of an important communication or important information, most people that will see the link while consuming Twitter might not engage it because you have put a link of Instagram. So what we advise you is, as against cross-posting that you just do anyhow, should you want to use the information that you shared on Instagram, you want people that are on Twitter to also share it, repost that information directly on Twitter, the picture or the video, and then put your text. If the text is too long, then you put it in a thread. Remember, before now, we lived in an era whereby Twitter had a limited amount of text. And so if it hits that particular limit, you cannot talk more about it except in another post. But as development continues, we've seen that Twitter has now made it easy for us to have threads. And so you can write a whole speech and publish it on Twitter. And should you have a paid profile, you can also just write a longer text as against having multiple threads. So these are things you need to understand. Same with Facebook and posting a picture. If you notice that some posts you see, somebody posts like 10 pictures, and out of the 10 pictures, one of the pictures you see, maybe the person's head is cut off, or the picture is not well aligned amongst the other pictures that have been posted. Why? Because the person did not take note of the format and the size of the picture that we are supposed to use on those platforms. So these platforms also have the format and sizing of the post you are going to put. So whatever you're going to put, it should not just be your media team has taken pictures and then they've done videos and then they shot the video in portrait mode and then you're now sharing it and you're now trying to share it in landscape mode. And so by the time you put it, the video will look very funny. And some people would like to even just put, please, twist your phone sideways so that you'll be able to enjoy the content more. But like I said, human beings can be very interesting. At that particular time, I don't feel like twisting my mobile devices. And so if your video is not clear and as such that can be consumed on that platform, I'll just click it at the swipe button or I click cancel and then I've left that information. While you that is the source will be out there thinking you have showcased great information on that platform. Secondly, or let's say, I miss all we're saying. So by the time you understand the governance models of all these particular platforms, you will now know exactly what you are sharing and how people can consume the information. We're taking time to basically talk about the social medium because it's one of the easiest ways in which, thank God now in 2025, that people can put out information, we can also consume information, and also disinformation as the case may be. And then luckily with the internet, you can also fact check this information. And then also we have this social media also having secure options in giving you clear definitions or engagement with regards to whatever subject matter. And so if you are chatting with your friend and you're like trying to, or you're getting confused about a particular subject, take for instance, the word demure. We have our ladies using that everywhere. You just type at Meta AI, what does the word demure mean? And then it gives you a definition and then you now fact check yourself to even know whether that conversation is correct. So have those ideas at the back of your minds and it will help you in be able to use all of the social mediums. And that is all we'll be talking right now about social media because we have a whole lot to discuss about political communication. So I hope that this particular concept and ideas about how you manage social mediums or digital media has given you a basic understanding of how you exploit them. And then so we'll just talk also about the website. And so if you want to use a website for something, make sure that your root word is not ambiguous, it's not confusing. Imagine if INEC's website is www.independentnationalelectoralcommission.org. Imagine typing all that out. Obviously, one or two times you might miss a word or two, and you might have to be going back, or if you're a lazy person like me, you just type INEC in Google, and then it brings out the website, and you just click it from there. But they were intelligent enough to do it www.inec.org, and then they left it there. Why? Because they need to make it easy for you to be able to accept it, to be able to understand it, and easy for you to share or advise someone on and access to getting information from the election management board. And so if you have a political party and you are trying to create a very interesting name and the root word is so long, you know that you're already in for a trouble. And then the person you paid for your branding already have a case to chew with you. And so take, for instance, like when I ran for Senate, my website was simply put, www.akoje4senate.com. And so it wasn't amiss. You will find it, you will see it, and it will be easy for you to access it. As against www.agreatguyiscomingforsenate.we-must-vote-him.com. That is obviously giving individuals a different expression or different understanding about what we are about to do. So now that you have all that, we're going back to our slides to discuss what is marketing. So why marketing comes to play in the political communication process is because you are in a particular field or you are in a particular area, and what happens in a marketplace, buying and selling of goods and services, as the case may be. So we have different actors in the environment. And so in your attempt to either promote or sell your goods or services, you also engage in market research, advertisement, multiplicity of usage of different mediums of selling your information. Some are sharing flyers, some are doing open activation, people are dancing, music is playing, some people are canvassing, and some people are directly holding your hands and saying, please come and buy from my shop, as the case may be. So you can have a multiplicity of definitions of what the marketplace is, but in political communication, we are actually or literally in a marketplace. And because we are in a marketplace, we need to understand what is the basic underpinning of a marketplace, the existence of a need or the existence of a problem to be solved. Or you as an individual, do you have a product or service that you want to offer and you think this particular marketplace will help you sell it? Or let's use the big word, because you have the right links, you have the good network, and so you jump at it and you're selling because, yes, I'm the first son, so everybody must buy from me. Because if you don't buy from me and I find out, you obviously not get the next contract, or I'll not invite you for my Christmas party, as the case may be. Or a passion or a burden to share this particular information or to want to share a part of your life, or this particular marketplace, you want to engage in it as a job because you are being paid salaries. And so let me come define this political marketplace in a political concept. And so we are in the marketplace and we are engaging in that market because there exists a problem to be solved. And so I'm here, I am INEC. Extra campaign period starts when the parties should start primaries, when they should close primaries, when they should submit when they should submit the list of their candidates, the cutoff for the replacement of candidates' names, when the election process starts, what are the different wards, what are the different election polling units that you are going to go to. That is the existence of a problem to be solved. And so INEC is actually in that marketplace looking for multiplicity of mediums in which to showcase that information to all of us to understand. Or are you someone that you believe, okay, I'm above 18 years old, I should run for president? What do you think? Or ask a couple of friends, or you think you've lived in a particular local area and you've seen how the environment has grown, and you think if you are the local government chairman, you can do better. And so you now have something to offer, and so you put yourself up for office? Or is it because you believe, like I said earlier on, my father is a prominent man. Before he died, he built 30 roads, 26 schools. He has sponsored over 20 million people in school. And then because of that, you believe that the social responsibility actions of your parents is enough to cover you. And so you now come up and say, you know what? My father was influential. Let me borrow from that influential activity and then also come and run for office. And then boom, you are in the marketplace trying to run for office, as the case may be. Or is it a passion or a burden that you want to express and you're like, no, I need to run for office and I don't even have money to do that. And so you start the whole idea of crowdfunding, asking a couple of friends, one person should print 2 t-shirts for you, one person should print flyers, and then it continues to build on and on. And so we just have it scattered here and there. Or have you even seen this political marketplace as obviously a job, but come to think of it, it's actually a job because the political office holders are going to be paid salaries. And we all know in Nigeria, it's such a juicy bunch. And we're drawing from the words from Animal Farm. The persons in power need to drink milk, and so their salaries are indeed very juicy. So should you get into one of those positions, you're in for a jolly good ride, because basically we're paying you to use your brain and your resources to articulate either an executive power or an executive option or in a legislative position. And so we have all that there. And then we talk about the principles of marketing a little bit. As a product, there's a price to be paid. There are means in which you can showcase this. Someone just made a mention in the comment section of promotion and a place. So we've talked about the product, INEC trying to let all of us know about the electoral process. We talked about a political office holder someone trying to run for office, or a political party showcasing information about sale of forms for particular offices, So in that case, that is the product. What is the price you pay? You offering yourself to come and run for office, it means you're going to lose your time, attention, your privacy, and a whole lot more. And then, literally put, if you want to buy a form in some political parties, you will lose a couple of thousands of naira. Points in money, in monetary terms, with regards to what you'll be doing for that particular option. And then we see the option about promotion. After you've showcased your activity, like I said, we are a lucky bunch because we are here consuming the usage of the internet. What of other persons that do not have engage in some sort of promotion, as the case may be? And so that's when things like town hall meetings come to bear, people printing flyers and going to share. You have individuals going to canvass for you in wards. We see INEC doing media rounds in different media houses. They are publishing information in newspapers. They are having jingles on the radio. They are doing activation in villages. Local government chairpersons are educating individuals about their polling units. Do you want to move your polling unit to one place? Do you have your voter's card? So it's a whole lot of activities that are going to happen. And so that's why we say the principles of the marketing place, which is talking about product, price, promotion, and place, are very key in understanding what exactly takes place in this marketplace. So remember, we are talking about information that is going to be shared. You need to have a basic understanding about what that information is going to be shared. And so this particular information you're putting out, does it have value? And so if it doesn't have value, individuals are not engaged. Luckily for us, we have measuring tools on most of the social mediums. You can see how many people liked your video. You can see how many people viewed your video. You can see how many people shared your content. Or is it Twitter? You see the algorithms all there. So if your update is not of value, in quotes, the engagement process will be low. But if your update is of value, you see individuals either commenting in the comment section, sharing, cross-posting, blogs reposting your information because you have put out hot gist, and so it's sharing the information is popping, and so everybody wants to key into that information or that update in which you have put out, and then does this particular update you're talking about speak to the target population? So in my own case now, it was www.akuje for Senate. And so if anybody looks at that website, it's beautiful. But if you do not take your time to click the home button and see where exactly I was running from, or running for, or putting myself up for service, you will not understand. And so in my own case, it was running for an office in Kogi East Senatorial District. And so not just Kogi State as a whole, it was Kogi State narrowed down to Kogi East. And that was what I was running for, a post in the National Assembly. And so obviously, if I was putting out communications, I need to make sure that my communication is targeting people in Kogi East. I will not be running for office in Kogi East and then my entire page is a commentary about what is happening in Port Harcourt, or what is happening in River State, or I'm talking about commentary on what's happening in Kaduna or in Lagos or in Abuja. I'll be definitely talking about what is happening in Kogi State vis-a-vis my senatorial district, which is Kogi East, And so if this particular update that I'm putting out is not of value, is not speaking to my target, I've already missed out in the communication loop or that communication cycle, And then while I'm putting out this information, like I said, the governance models of these platforms, you need to understand the best practices of all the platforms you'll be using, because you cannot say some particular words. Take, for instance, using of swear words in your videos. Even now, it's so interesting. If you even put swear words in comment section, your account, your post can be flagged by the medium, because the artificial intelligence bots that are monitoring those platforms are also looking out for words of that light that are going to be offensive, and what have you. So even if you put out content that is, well, let's see, basically Instagram will just obviously first block the post and say viewer discretion is advised. You need to click the post to see why this post is closed. And should you want to view, you use your hand to basically click, so whatever it is, yes, Tiami, you need, your target needs to depict your constituency, as the case may be, if you are running for office. So you need to understand the best practices with regards to where you are taking this particular update to. And so by the time you have done all that, we are now going to now say, okay, now that I put out good information, it's of value, it's going to be consumed. I can bet my chest. In short, I say this with my full chest, like we say in our local parlance. We need to talk about return on interest. So if you notice, I'm using both financial words, marketing gimmicks, branding information, all, and then political jargons in talking about the whole idea of political communication. Why? Because it's a potpourri of everything put together. And remember, we're not hoping to waste our time, energy, and resources to engage in a futile activity. And so should anybody engage in the political communication process, the person is not obviously trying to do it as an exercise in futility, but is doing it as an exercise to achieve a certain goal. And so you'll be talking about return on interest, or what are the basic feedbacks, or what did you draw out from all of these things you did. And so we're looking about how you measure your social media strategy. For instance, should you have exploited the use of digital mediums? How did you manage the correspondence on social media? When you post on social mediums, do you put your signature? So take, for instance, now on my personal page, yes, I'm running for office, and then but all posts that I do directly are signed with my initials, KA. Then other posts that are not signed with my initials, it means it's my media team posting on my behalf. And so, but remember, should your media team make a mistake posting on your page, it also comes to bear on you. And so you need to make sure that whoever you even put together as your media team need to be individuals of competence, character, understanding, and intellect. If they do not have all of these four things in play, then your communication is already amiss, because a couple of things will continue to miss out here and there. So managing your correspondence, be it via traditional media, be it via digital mediums, you need to be spot on. So if people are mentioning you on social media, do you want to engage? Or what is the major trend that is happening? Do you want to trend jack and use that particular thing to showcase your candidacy? Or everybody is going about sharing face masks because they are, like we had during COVID, it's felt as the coolest thing to do to show that you are in love with people. And so your political party buys a billion face masks and then they are putting to people, or different activities. So those are the return on interest on the different strategies you are using, whether it's using social mediums, digital mediums, or traditional media. Social reporting and analytics, like I said earlier on, they are basic tools that you can retrieve this information with, and then know whether the information you have put out is basically giving you the best of effects. Or if you want to even use artificial intelligence or social listening tools to basically make it easy for you to capture information about when you're being mentioned, or when people are talking about your candidacy, or when people are talking bad about the electoral management body, or when people are talking bad about your party, or when people are praising your party, so you can reshare it for other people to see, or testimonials on TV, or there's a particular communication, somebody talking about something, and then the person commended your handwork. As usual, you want to go and get a clip of that and repost on your own platform so that people will see that, okay, see this communication. Someone is even speaking by means of a testimonial about me, my personality, my party, the election management body, as the case may be. So all of those things are things that come to bear. Remember earlier on, I mentioned in trying to define he who says what, to whom, when, where, and with what effect. I talked about how to talk, when you must talk, who exactly are you talking to, what mannerisms are you using to speak, or what mediums are you exploiting with regards to this, and then how are you basically trying to understand what exactly you're also trying to put out and how you can control this narrative. I also talked about some basic action cues about individuals on whether you are reactionary in your conversation, you are progressive in your conversation, you are empathetic in your response, or you are diplomatic in your actions. So all of this come to bear in the political communication process. And so you need to understand how to talk. And so I don't expect somebody running for office of the president not talking presidential. I want to see charisma. I want to see understanding. I want to see intellect. And the person come to talk to me on TV about his manifesto, about why he wants to be president, why he wants to be the senator, why he wants to be the honorable member of the House of Representatives, or a honorable member in the State Assembly. If you do not know how to talk, you already lost me, because it's an important part. Yes, albeit important, It depends on who he's talking to. Let's now go forward down to the first handshake of democracy, as my friend Kunle always calls it, and the local government. We know that most times in the local government, because it's a whole lot more close-knit environment, you might have to speak in your local parlance a lot more, because I do not understand why the councillor of my ward will not be able to speak my native language. Yes, we have the role of interpreters, but there's a whole lot that might get amiss if the person does not understand or does not know how to communicate in your language. Like we always say, the person needs to be able to understand your interests and be able to express that. And so if you understand the language, it's a lot more easier and it's a plus. But albeit, whatever comes to bear is what you have to deal with. So who are you talking to? By the time you understand what the stand
Is it me or is it my network?
Okay, I can't hear him either. Maybe his network went off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back, sir. You were thrown off for a bit. You're muted, sir. You're muted. Please unmute yourself. You're still muted. Okay. So you're still muted. Mr. Kevin Akode. Okay.
Okay, I've been unmuted now. It was not allowing me to unmute myself from this end. Beautiful.
Sorry about that.
So we're back. Sorry, so these are the basic challenges should you want to use digital mediums in your conversations. So you see, we're already experiencing a typical, sample, albeit as we're having this conversation. So who are you talking to? So if you understand who you are talking to, you will now know what subject matter to speak on. You will now know what you are narrowing your conversations about. And then because you know who you are speaking to, you understand the mannerisms you are going to use to speak. And so let me just throw one out there. I actually wanted to moderate this class wearing my Arsenal jersey, but I know it will be offensive to some persons, or it will be offensive for whatever reason for whoever wants to consume the information. So I try to come as I am. And I hope this is not offensive, as the case may be. So the mannerism in which you have that communication is very important, because if you do not put that mannerism out there that shows or depicts some form of respect for other persons, their culture, their affinity, it will be a problem in your conversation and then how they are able to consume that information. And so when you must talk, you're also looking at the medium in which you're going to use to talk. And so if I'm in the local government and I'm trying to run for position of councillor, I might not use digital mediums all that much because I'm in a particular ward. And so in, let's say, 2 to 3 hours, I can comb my ward. And then we obviously might not have power or might not have sustainable power. A lot of persons might not have mobile devices, or even if they have mobile devices, the network is poor. And so I'll obviously be adopting the method of using either flyers, using town criers, using individuals going to canvass for votes for me locally by word of mouth. So these are all the things that comes to bear when you must talk. And like I talked about earlier, controlling the narrative. Remember, it's not enough for you to think that you can talk about something. If you are talking and then there are some individuals out there that have taken their time, energy, and resources to make sure that they are going to do what we call misinformation, let me not call it lies. Right now, we don't like to tell people the truth. And so if you tell me I'm saying lies, I want to ask you, lie in what sense? Because to me, it's the truth. And so let's say obscuring reality or what have you. So you need to ensure that you are controlling the narrative. So in controlling the narrative, let's talk about even the use of the World Wide Web. If you have a website about your political party and your website is not secure, if I'm an opposing party, I may employ the use of ethical hackers and hack your website and take down your party manifesto that is on that website and put mine. And then I'll make sure that that website doesn't go down. Or you have a website about your party and the domain is about to expire in 2 days. and then for whatever reason your IT team forgets. And so imagine that I'm in this particular party, and then I have gone and bought the domain of another party. I still left the name as it is because I'm very petty, but all of the information on it is about my own party. Or to further discredit you completely, I go and put pornographic materials on your website. You know how embarrassing that would be. And guess what? That I could think about it, it has happened. So that you can also try to understand this that I'm trying to communicate about. It means it's actually real. So according to one of my friends, you can think it's possible. So these are the things you need to have at the back of your mind when you must talk. Remember, political communication is he who says what, when, to whom, and what effect, as the case may be. So we've had and understood that part. Then now we talked about how politicians basically communicate. And we talked about, take for instance, the election management body, and we try to run through what they'll do in the electoral process. So we have also political parties. So interestingly, in this part of our climes, we obviously take a whole lot of things for granted. Every single person has a major role to play in the political ecosystem and in political communication. Nobody's too big and nobody's too small. And so you need to have that at the back of your minds whenever you're engaging in the political communication process. And so, are you a political party? Are you the election management body? How do you relate with card-carrying members of your party or prospective card-carrying members of your party or persons that are about to woo into your party? How are you as a candidate carrying yourself and communicating with people on the road about your candidature? Or are you in your constituency and you're behaving like you are bigger than life, because I'm running for president, so my own local government, what do I need to go and do? I'm bigger than them. And so I send my special advisor to go and be campaigning for me. For me, I believe it's an insult to your base that should you want to run for anything, you'd not even start from there. Because remember, in your expression of interest form, the people who sign your expression of interest form are your constituents. And so, yes, you're running for presidency. It's a national thing. Your expression of interest form is signed by your constituents. So that's 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, and then as many states will be if they finally add the new states that they're planning to do. So all of the things are things you need to put in place. And then let us bring one other communication process into this conversation that is also missed. The idea of recalling your representative in the National Assembly or in the State Assembly, as the case may be. That action is actually a communication process. It basically means, in other words, the person that we elected to perform these duties on our behalf has fallen short of his actions, integrations, activities, and so want to bring the person back. And so in Nigeria, I think we have a case of recall in Kogi State where Senator Dilo Melai was, an attempt to recall him was done, but it didn't meet up the INEC stipulated criteria with regards to the amount of persons that will sign the recall. And we know we'll be hearing a whole lot of activities on the social medium about another senator whereby issues, and then people are saying, should we recall her? Should she be suspended and all that? So these are political communications taking place, albeit in different marketplaces. In this case, it was the Senate, where Senator Dilo Melai was about to be recalled by his constituents. Town hall meetings. You have entered the political office, and then right now you are feeling that you are bigger than life and you do not engage your own constituents. And so you only come to your constituents on Christmas Day or any day they give you the proverbial blank check, which is constituency funds. You now appear, share money, and you disappear. And then you think that it's even the sharing money that people actually want, not knowing that they want you to basically engage them in providing basic infrastructure and services, Or is it you have your honorable members out there representing you and you do not engage them? You can engage them by sending a letter. In this case, you can use a normal letter, as the case may be, writing a letter, or you send an email to your representative. And so it shocks me when I meet a legislator and I ask him, sir, where is your office? And he says, my office is in the National Assembly. No, where is your constituency office? Because if you don't have a constituency office, how can we engage you? So it means you're actually up there in Abuja, enjoying the sun, the heat, and then no light. And then we were here in your constituency, and you never come to us, and you claim you are representing us. Yes, we know that if, take for instance, you're in the National Assembly, your duty is to legislate, oversight. But in also putting out bills, you need to have an understanding of your local constituency and the nation at large. So you cannot do without it. So I expect that should you be in the National Assembly, you should have a constituency office. If you are not there to man the office directly every day, you should have officers that are there to man the office. And so when the individuals are bringing up their aspirations, their ideas, their understanding, their pains, their grievances about what is happening in your constituency, there should be a medium in which they can communicate to you. We also have the idea of referendums. We've not had that in our own clients here, as the case may be, but those are also patterns in which we engage in the political communication process. So all of these are basically, if you notice, like I said earlier, the political communication process is just a continuous cycle in which we continue to put out information, to ensure that the information is consumed effectively and time-bound, and then we ensure that the communication is not amiss, as such that you are controlling the narrative, and as such that whatever information you're putting out is effective, unambiguous, and the individuals that are consuming it understand what exactly they are up for, and then should you want to run for office, with this class, we'll basically give you basic tools about how to exploit the social mediums, how to put content on those particular social mediums, how to showcase them, how to use traditional media, and then what have you. And then understanding the extra part of the feedback loop. This part is always forgotten in the communication process because people feel that their own duty is just to put information out there. They don't care how people respond to it and the like. So this class will sought to basically activate your thought process with regards to all of these activities to make sure that now you are sharper. And so I do not expect you as a graduate of the Electoral College School of Policy and Governance to go out there and then a campaign is taking place and then you're consuming information from the person canvassing for votes and he's running for an executive office and he's talking about making laws and passing laws. That is not the duty of the executive, that's the duty of the legislator. Or you have a legislator coming to talk about he's going to run for office. Yes, we have constituency funding, and so it gives them a whole lot of teeth with regards to activities. But largely, a legislator is meant to make bills, ensure cordial relationship between his constituencies and other constituents, him as the officer and other officers in the National Assembly or the State Assembly, as the case may be, and then legislate. So if you see somebody that's running for legislative office and now telling you, I'll bring you power, I'll build you roads, I'll do this, I'll do that, that is not the duty of an executive, of a legislator. So with all we've had of conversations we've had here, we hope that we've given you the basic tools to understand how to basically identify information. And then with the strength of those understanding of the information, you now know how to process it as a politically literate individual. And then as a valuable person and individual in Federal Republic of Nigeria, or should you have a case to relate with us here as a country. So that basically is what we'll say. It just sums up our conversation on political communication. Like I always tell Lisa, this class 1 hour is always not enough to achieve this, but here we are in the Electoral College, so you'll be able to reach us through any means should you want to clarify information or two about what we have taught you online or physically, as the case may be. You have Lisa, the ED, you have Mr. Kule Lawal, the ED, and then you are free to access us to be able to clarify a thing or two. So before the last 1 minute, 6 p.m., do we have any questions or clarifications that we want to share about what we have just experienced as per our conversations today on political communications? So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. Very well done, well delivered. So now we will go into questions. I have scanned through the chat box. Haven't seen any questions. I just seen some comments on the presentation and on some of the things that you have spoken. But now we'll take questions. Okay, I see one hand up. Abdul Basif Akinyemi, I have asked you to unmute. Okay, see two more hands. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Kelvin. Good evening, everyone. Please, I want to ask basically as regards social media communication for politicians. So
Okay.
I say as regards social media communication for politicians.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so my question basically is regards how we have some politicians who use some media platforms, say Twitter, for instance, and then they make tweets trying to communicate with the public. And probably they get backlash from their support base. They delete and they just come back again, probably another day to put up another tweet. So in this regard, I've been hearing some people say, why doesn't this politician engage like a communications consultant or use a spokesperson to put out the communication? So what do you advise, basically? Is it that politicians should engage with communication consultants to help them put out their political messages? Is that the best? Or politicians can still on their own manage social media communication and get effective
Part of
outcomes?
it. So this is the challenge. If you are doing any political activity, everybody has the amount of money they have in their wallet. And so if you have money to spare using a communication consultant, beautiful. If you don't have money to spare, is why you attend classes like this that arms you with the tools to be able to do some things, at least yourself, so that you don't need to worry about one or two, And then should you have a team, you need to be able to superintend over that team to make sure that the communication that they're putting on those platforms are not amiss. I remember when I spoke earlier on, the first thing I talked about this class is the internet never forgets. So you see those people that are putting posts and deleting. I'm sure you have a whole lot of screenshots in that your folder of some things that people have spoken of. And then steady. There are individuals, I don't know, Nigerians who are interesting people. There are people that are just on people's pages as they are posting something they are screenshotting. Whether it's going to be valuable or not, then they'll delete it after 365 days or after 4 years. But it is what it is. The internet never forgets. The people always remember. And so if you continuously engage in information misinformation or disinformation, as the case may be, using these platforms, people over time will now know that you don't have integrity. You're not a person of integrity. So it means if this is what this man uses Twitter to do, I will obviously not follow him at his account on Twitter to consume any information because he obviously does not put out any reasonable content there, or he doesn't put some thought into those content that he shares there. And so I just leave it like that. So that's just the basic understanding about how individuals use the social media. It doesn't just apply to the political office holders. Same thing with the election management body, national parties, as the case may be, individuals, wherever you are, even you. So you need to be careful in what you say, what you put up online, and all that. I'm trying to read the question someone just put on the comment group. Please, I would like that you help strike balance between a legislator in a different party with the executive. How can he draw development in terms of providing basic means? Well, he can provide. Okay, so I already explained this in the course of our conversation. An executive office is an executive office. That is why he's called His Excellency. And then in the National Assembly, the senators are called distinguished senators. And then in the House of Representatives, they are called honorable members. You need to understand that already their name and their title already give them differences in what they are supposed to do and what they stand for. And so it applies to their campaigns. So yes, we have an anomaly that exists in Nigeria, which is this whole idea of constituency funding. In most advanced democracies, they do not do that. There are people that carry money to constituencies and go and do those things without the influence of the legislator in question. But because we know that Nigeria, if I tell you I'm the honorable senator representing Kogi East, and all you do is see me on TV looking fly with Papariga or in suit, flying for international engagements, moving around with the president, you will not be happy. And so in understanding our own local democracy, the whole idea of constituency funding was created. And so now you see legislators saying, or you see a signboard, borehole powered by right honorable member or right honorable so and so, or distinguished senator, so and so. So that is just what now makes it a little bit tricky in understanding, but I'll tell you for free. There's a clear discrepancy between somebody occupying an executive office and a legislative office and what they stand for when they are campaigning for office. So I hope that you understand that. So do you have further questions?
Yes, we have other hands. I see
Okay, go ahead.
Joma. I've asked you to unmute. We have a lot of hands.
Okay,
Okay.
good evening, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I really want to thank you for this section. It's been a profound one. I've gotten to learn so many things from the section. It's been amazing so far. So, a quick one. This is more like a concern to me as a citizen. In terms of keeping our politicians accountable, using their social media platforms. I have a personal like experience, and then not just me, some other as Nigerians have also been able to like experience that when you make a post, or maybe when you see a post from a politician, and it seems as if the post is not maybe going well, or it's not the thought of the people, like, and you tend to give like a comment on the post, and the rest. Your tweet will be deleted. If like it's not even been deleted, you will get DMs and cyber bullies. So how do you see we can be able to as maybe like overcome this challenge now, as as also being able to like engage our politicians as maybe like on their social media handles.
Okay, so first, let's talk about this in the concept of the 4 patterns I mentioned earlier: reactionary, progressive, empathetic, and diplomatic. So individuals are doing the most on what they are doing on their platforms. And so if you come and you now see something on the platform, they are also trying to control a narrative. They are also trying to put out a particular character of what they believe is their candidacy. And so in some cases, your post can be deleted, your post can be blocked. And then we also have cyber warriors. So in as much as we also see how it happens physically when you see someone's campaign team, he has over a 20 million strong campaign team, they're also online. And then some are even paid. It's a job. And so their own job is to, if you make a question or you challenge their boss to comment shame you, or let me use that language if there's anything existing like that, and then delete your post, or they come and bully you online. Those things will always exist. And then because we're using free platforms, it's a little bit tricky to manage. Because take, for instance, now, even if you go and see something that is constructive on that particular page, imagine that the person has a 1,000 strong cyber army, and then all of them go to your particular page and report your page. The first thing that the social media platform will do is take down your page, because the artificial intelligence response behind that algorithm is saying your page is putting out terrible content. And so the first thing, your page is down. That's why we say, whatever you're doing, be armed with the 4 patterns: reactionary, progressive, empathetic, and diplomatic. Have all of them put together, and then you now know what measure to use, whatever. And so if someone comes with constructive criticism, you should be able to accept and say, yes, this was an oversight. We'll take correction here. We'll do this here. Or, that is not my job. My constituency is 5 local governments, and I was given 500,000 naira, and I shared 100,000 naira each. And then, so that is frank talk, so these things will happen. So you should be just ready to engage the process. And then, like I always say, there is always a way. And so if you think you've used digital mediums and you're expressing your concerns to these people, either the election management body, a politician, a political party, and it's not working, my brother, you can carry placards now. Write it on the cardboard paper and go and stand, only you. Or you carry your 4 friends and you go and do a protest. Or you write a letter and you submit it expressing your concerns, collect your acknowledgement letter, so that if you are going to court next time and they are saying, I've never seen anything, yeah, you bring out your acknowledgement letter and say, see, on the 12th of February, I brought this information to your party, I advised you, but you did not take notes. Now we are in court because you have, what's this language that we call it? You have infringed on my fundamental right for XYZ. So I hope that answers you as the case with regards to your question. So I can see.
Thank you.
What is the exact duty of senators and House of Reps to the people they are representing? Their duty is the same. So we don't have a whole lot of time to sleep here, but the National Assembly is the National Assembly. And we have a bicameral legislature. So in some other climes, you hear House of Lords, House of Commons, or in a parliamentary system, you hear whatever, So, but in our own case, we are having a presidential system of government. And in our legislature is bicameral, where we have the House of Representatives and the Senate. And so that's why they're called a National Assembly, because both parties have different roles to play. So let me break it down further. Democracy is trying to make sure that nobody's left behind. Everybody's captured. And so if in a state you have 3 senatorial districts, you already have 3 senators. And those 3 senators are, let's say one particular senator is dealing with 12 local governments. Me and you know that in his trying to deal with 12 local governments, he's going to experience a little bit challenges. And so that's why, instead of just leaving the senator to be able to deal with all the headache, they now created a lower house, if at all we use that language, House of Representatives. And so that senator now that is superintending over 7 local governments now has 2 honorable members in the House of Representatives. And then they might be sharing either 4/3 or 3-4, But basically they are sharing those same local governments. And so in the legislative office, we do not expect that the honorable senator representing Kogi East and then the honorable members in the House of Representatives representing the constituencies in Kogi East will not be working in tandem with each other. They need to be working in tandem with each other. So that's why we say, to an extent, they are the same, but they are of different levels of influence. I think that's the answer. They are of different levels of influence, and so they all play their roles, but they are working together. That's why they're called the National Assembly. So I hope this answers your question with regards to the role and duties of senator and House of Representative member in the Legislative Assembly.
Okay. I'd like to take Juliet. I think that's, I'm not sure if that's a lady, but I'll ask you to unmute.
Okay, before the person unmutes, I can see Aminu Mohammed Bello in the comment section. Sorry,
Good
please
evening.
hold on.
Okay.
Good evening. Can you just hold on? I can see in the
Hold on,
comment section,
Juliet.
given Nigeria's diverse political landscape, where misinformation and disinformation are widespread during election cycles, what strategic measures should political actors adopt to counter false narratives while maintaining credibility and engagement of social media? So, first things first, the easy tool of countering information misrepresentation is you putting out the correct information. And so if somebody's fact-checking, they are fact-checking based on the information you put out. And so if I come out and say, I'm running for a position in Kogi East, and we have 365 local governments in Kogi East, I've said it, I put it on my page. But if you want to fact-check me, you can first go to National Orientation Agency website and confirm, does Kogi East actually have 365 local governments? Or is he referring to Nigeria? Or he made a mistake in trying to understand the communication he was trying to put out? So you already have the digital tools to do that, which is why I'm so glad whenever we have conversations on digital medium, because the tools to fact check are very easy. You can use Google. In short, most of the social mediums already have AI responses to aid you. And so, like I spoke about the word demure, same thing, you can just type at Meta AI. Obviously, Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. At Meta AI, how many local governments does Kogi East have? And the information will pop up. Where's the information popping up from? Knowledge-based articles that have been published online by scholars, by election management body, maybe even also drawing from Wikipedia, or even Facebook own database that they have about the country. So those are the easiest ways you can counter information dissemination. But the key one is you that put out that information that people want to counter. Did you put out sufficient information about that particular subject matter that they want to come and do its information about? Then, if you do not put out sufficient information, then you have left a window open for individuals to come and make a comment or two, or to try and sway the ideas of people with regard to that particular subject matter using whatever medium as the case may be. So I hope that answers your question. So please, the person speaking can go ahead now. Sorry, I had to just answer that.
Hello.
You can go ahead.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, I can hear you, madam.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Kevin, and every other person in the class this evening. Please, I have a question. I know that in communication, because one of the toughest things to do is brand building, to build a credible brand. So at what point can one in political communication differentiate or draw a line between personal brand and a political party brand to ensure credibility? Why am I asking this question? A lot of persons come in for electoral positions, and because you're so person, everybody likes your personality. But because you're coming from a particular political background, they'll now say, because he's coming from this party, I don't think he would deliver on what he's saying. So at what point can one as a candidate begin to say, I don't know how to put it on you. How do you ensure credibility of a personal brand during politicking? Yes.
Like I said, in all of our communication, we already have inherent challenges. And those inherent challenges are what you need to continually seek measures of correcting. One, we have a constitution. Nigerian constitution is what guides and governs political activities, participation, and what have you. We do not have independent candidature. And so even if you are a great guy, by the grace of God, keep it in your pocket. You need to run for office through a mechanism, and that is a political party. And so we advise as many as possible, go to a party that basically expresses your ideas and underpinnings about politics and governance. And so let's use the general parlance, square peg in square hole. If you believe, or let's even talk about the United States, for example. We have two broad outlines in the United States, Republicans and Democrats. Remember, they also have independent candidates. But how many of those do we see that win their offices? It's always largely drawn between the Republicans and the Democrats, many a times, And so there's a particular way Democrats behave, and that is the only way it goes. There's a particular way Republicans behave, and that is how it goes. And so you either choose to be a Democrat or a Republican. Though we know in their recent elections now, we've seen a Republican coming to talk about their presidential candidate and how they do not like the person. Same with vis-a-vis with the Democrats, where the Democrats saying, I do not like our presidential candidates, but they have broad outlines. So it's either you choose where you lay your bed and how you lie in it, and you manage it. So two things must still always stand out with regards to credibility and integrity. One, you as an individual, you need to have built yourself to a certain level to come and offer yourself for public service. Because remember, yes, in as much as people are running for office on basic mechanisms, in this case, parties, there are many people that vote for individual. They don't even care what these parties are. And then there are many people that tell you about, oh, don't worry, parties do not have ideology. It's just the persons I'm voting for, and his poster is looking fine. This person looks like he's going to be intelligent. And the person goes ahead to vote the person. But I was involved in registering my political party before I ran for office. And I can tell you for free, in our engagements with INEC is very, very thorough. in registration of political parties. And so for all the many political parties that you see that we have in Nigeria, none of them are the same. When I say none of them are the same, as that the logos of those parties are different. There's no way you can create or reuse a logo that has been used by a party that has now been, removed or disbanded. You must create your own unique logo. In your submission of activities or information about your particular political party, you must submit a manifesto. And your manifesto should not be and cannot be or have properties related to another party. It has to be a unique document, unique to you. And so, should you want to run for office, you need to find a political party that exudes basically your personality, or that can amplify your personality, or that can ensure you win the ticket, or basically help you get to achieve your goal. So we will not be the one to advise. You'll be the one to advise yourself to know which party to go to. Just like we have now about in Nigeria where we cross carpet. Today I feel like I'm in this party and this party is the best. And then tomorrow when I wake up in the morning, I'm in the other party. Or maybe I'm in this party today and they're not treating me well. And then somebody from the other party comes and gives me 1,000 naira. I'm like, oh, nice. It means it's happening in the other party. And then I cross carpet. So it's all left to you as an individual. But firstly, you must build yourself as a brand, then identify a party that will help you express yourself, and then you go and sign up for the party. Remember, it's not like you're winning the primaries, even an easy fit. To win a primaries, you need to have all the persons that are going to vote in that particular primaries under your hand. If not all, at least 2/3. So it's not like even when you come as a great guy, you have all this and that, you now come engage the party structure and nobody is interested in you in party structure. You will not win the primaries. You obviously lose the primaries. Or should you even win the primaries, you have internal rancor between the parties. And then another funny one that always happens, unfortunately for us in these climes, is we have individuals that come with their so-called might. They come and then they buy the ecosystem in the entire party. And so because they bought the entire ecosystem in the entire party, when they assume those roles in their offices, their parties cannot hold them accountable or responsible. Why? Because, in quotes, they have paid for everything. And so that is why we see that, unfortunately, the relationship between political parties and their electorate, their elected officers or flag bearers, there's always some level of discord and disunity between persons running or occupying a political office with a particular party, and then the national chairman is telling him, you need to do like this, and the person doesn't do like that. Or you see individuals that just come and just enter a political party, win office, and they're doing something else. And they're telling him, sir, our party stands for XYZ. And he's like, I don't care. I am the governor now. This is what I want to do, and you must follow me. So these are the things that I'll say. We are in a thriving democracy. We are in a growing democracy. And so as the years come by, we'll continue to improve. In as much as we are all existing together now, America did not become independent 56 years ago. They got independent how many years ago? So they have built their democracy, they've made mistakes, they've learned, they've engaged, they've done research, market information, and they've built to this. So we are still growing, we are still thriving, our democracy can get better, we can engage our democracy a lot better. But for now, that is why classes like this come to bear, so you can understand a thing or two, so that you can engage the democracy and build it towards a better place for the future. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. We have 4 more hands. If we can wrap this up in 5 minutes, that would be really lovely. Ayo Idoreyi, I've asked you to unmute, please. Please keep your questions very brief so that we can leave here at 6:30. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the lucid presentation. Okay. So I'm going to be very practical. Let's say I'm from your constituent, and then you happen to be very active online. For instance, you said your handle is Akuje for Senate. And so you made a lot of promises, like you're going to provide buses to students, they'll be taking them from their constituency to school, and then, okay, you finally emerged. Then part of what you promised is not fitable, you've not fulfilled it. So I come online and then I chat you up just to fact check, like you said, or maybe tell you that these things have not been done. But then you end up ghosting. You don't respond to messages. But out there, normally politicians are always very concerned when it comes to things that the camera captures, commissioning of maybe roads and things like that. But how do you reconcile the place of accountability and open communication after election? Then secondly, is it proper for a media head to engage in throwing shirts um, just to promote the paymaster's page, or maybe um, not then already are denting the image, but then you engage in throwing shirts with the community members on social media. They say things, you respond. Is it proper? Thank you.
Okay, so now we are going into the part of ethics and responsibilities of politicians. Ethics and responsible use of social media. Whether we like it or not, it is a fluid concept. And we cannot basically box people to say, this is how you should react, or this is how you should act. That's why in the world of sciences, they always take, or in the world of mathematics, it's simple. 1 + 1 is 2. If you add sodium and chloride, you have sodium chloride. Simple and short. Quod erat demonstandum, as they say, QED. But in the field of political science or in social sciences, things are not cast in stone and cannot be managed that way. And so if the person promised XYZ and did not deliver, the best you can do is what we talk about: governance, corporate governance, good governance, accountability. How do you hold these political office holders accountable? And so part of the ways you do that is you bring out their information that they've spoken up about and throw it back to them in their faces. In most cases, some of them take redress and take action and strive to provide those things. In some cases, I will not lie to you, some people's campaign, the man has no idea, the man or woman has no idea. They just paid somebody 2.5 million. The person built a very lovely manifesto. He crammed the one he could do. He entered office. He doesn't even know what his campaign stood for. And so while he's there, he's just enjoying his life, living his life the best way he can live. Until people like you now come and say, sir, but you said you will put 200,000 square kilometers in 200,000 days, or in 200 days, you do 1 square kilometer. So you need to hold them accountable, and it doesn't stop. However, whatever means you can, you need to continue holding your political office holders accountable. Then as for media houses, so let's not lie to ourselves. Like you said, let's be real. He who pays the piper, they take the tune. Going back to the development of our democracy, we knew that particular mediums are for Action Congress, NEPU, Northern Electoral Political Union, NMPP. We knew that all these things happen. And then we say, come, media officers, you need to understand the ethics of your profession. You need to give a balanced perspective. But remember, they are also employees. Somebody's paying them money. And so if they want to do the most, like we call it in quote, ass kissing, they want to do the very best so that their bosses will see them as doing the very best job, and then they'll get the best promotions, they'll get the best gigs to go and cover overseas when programs come up overseas. They get allowances, bonuses, and all that. So what we appeal is the ethical usage of these services and the ethical activities of media professionals. We can only appeal. And then when we go, it's not like the regulatory body can do anything. All they can do is slap them on the wrist and hope that they change. And so you see places like Broadcasting Commission putting fines on these people, saying this, doing that, So however they try. So imagine that I own a media house, and then NBC's own job is to be fining me 1 million every 2 months if I do something. If I have the money, I'll continue doing that thing that they're doing. If it's 1 million, don't fine me. We'll pay for it. And to give me another 6 months again to misbehave, then they fine me again, and I pay for it, and then they continue. So what the appeal is, ethical usage of the social mediums and the ethical practices of media practitioners in media houses. Unless they have that in the core of their medulla oblongata, will have to deal with whatever it is that they put there. And remember, you have the remote. You can choose to tune into one channel or the other. And so if you think this particular channel doesn't serve you, please, by all means, you tune into another channel. Or should you want to consume both of them before you make a balanced opinion on the subject matter, then you go ahead. And so you give yourself time. You watch the news on this channel, you watch the news on that particular channel, and then you make an informed decision because you are an intellectual, you are a politically literate individual. And so you don't just take information that has been posted in blogs or news headlines or captions as what you used to base your information on. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Igwe. Igwe, I've asked you to unmute. If you're not ready, I'll move on to the next person quickly. Aminu Mohammed Bello. I've asked you to unmute, please.
Are you sure that's not the
Good
person
evening,
already?
everyone.
Okay, good evening.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I mean, you are the one that we answered your question from the comment section.
Yes,
Do you have
that's what
another
I wanted
question?
to say, sir. That's what we wanted
Yes.
to. That's what I wanted to inform her.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aminu. So Igwe is the only hand up, but I don't think maybe he's not poised to speak where he is. He's probably in a noisy environment. So if that's the case, we have. Can you speak?
Can you hear me? Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Yes, Igwe, we can hear you.
Please make it.
Okay, please. Okay, I'll just do the simple one, which is where the constituency you're covering is actually smaller, or you don't have all the distance to you're so large, you're larger than the constituency. How do you actually strike a balance, knowing that this is just a tool to reach the people and get people from that your constituency to begin to buy in on your ideas and whatever you're bringing to those people? How do you strike this balance? Do you completely leave the social media, or do you now go, like you said, let's say I'm going for counselorship, and my Facebook is already large, that it covers the entire state. Do I now leave social media and go to that particular council area and do the one-on-one and other this thing? How do I strike that balance, knowing that these people should have gotten to know who and what I stand for? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So your question, you answered it again. Striking a balance. Remember, we said political communication is he who says what to whom, when, where, and what medium, and what is the effect of that communication. We talked about if you must talk, how do you talk? When do you talk? Who are you talking to? What mannerisms, what medium? If you understand your constituents better, and you know that not all of them use social mediums, then you cannot rely on your campaign on strictly social media. It means you have to mix it. And so if you are only using videos for your campaign and you are showcasing the videos in town halls, cinemas, and you know not everybody has money to come and pay to watch a cinema where do you watch your advertisement about your candidates, then you will do flyer and share it for free. If you think not everybody can read and write, then you employ the services of a town crier, or you engage in open canvassing, going to market squares on market days, and then speaking to the people in the language they understand. So you showcase your capacity and your candidacy. You need first, what basically pushes you is your understanding of who you are talking to. If you know the target you are speaking to, then you know that you need to balance the narrative or balance how you are showcasing your information. Armed with that information, you now use different mediums to showcase your candidates. So it's really simple. You want to run for president and you think it's only advertisement on CNN that will work, please go ahead. Not everybody's watching CNN. Some are using Star TV, Go TV, GTV, ITV, and what have you. So if you are busy using CNN and my own platform does not have that particular channel to consume your advertisement, then I will not see it.
Thank you,
I don't
sir.
know. if you get me. And so you need to
Alright.
finish up. So if your person does not use those platforms, you will not be able to, they'll not be able to consume your content. So you need to just basically understand that. When you understand that, you now know what you're doing.
Okay, thank you very much. We have come to the very end of the class. 1 hour, a few minutes. Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin Akoje, for being here with us. Yeah, I would like our students to please say a very big thank you. I would like to now call on the dean to express the college's gratitude to you for showing up for us once again. Thank you. Lisa,
Thank
I hand over to you at this time. Please, can someone unmute Lisa?
Okay, thank you so much. My network threw me out, so I lost the host function. Thanks so much, Mr. Kevin. It's always a pleasure having you. The class has been really interesting and engaging. Thank you for being here. So thank you to all the students. Thank you for attending classes this weekend. Remember, your campaign starts on Tuesday. The debate is on Wednesday and the elections are on Thursday. So thank you, everyone, and have a great week. I'll just allow the students on mute to tell you thank you, sir, before I end the class.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
so
sir.
much,
Very
sir.
much, sir. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Remain blessed.
Asante sana. Obrigado. Nasce.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, sir. Dalu.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.